Welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Spencer, and we're discussing Big Sky Season 2, Episode number 2. I was looking at my notes and I saw T-Lock. um, Huckleberry is the name of the episode. And yeah, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Leave a like, leave a comment. We do read them. Matter of fact, we read a comment last week saying we needed to step up our production. We agree. Next week's episode is going to look a little different. We're going to have some more images and we're going to see how things go. But yeah, we do read those comments. We appreciate them. And let's jump into this. Wolfgang, man.
Well,
Wolfgang Legarsky.
I couldn't stop laughing because, I felt like I had a pretty sound theory, but as soon as the episode started, all I could think of was Black Snake Moan. Like
Yeah.
I was dying laughing. Every scene when he would come in, I would just start laughing because it's one of those things where it's so ridiculous, but it's so good.
That's sort of what it is, because, like you said, I wasn't 100% sure when we had some guesses last week as far as what we thought the story was going to be, but now we know he's trying to change Ronald and Scarlet and make them good people and undo the damage that he feels his twin brother did. And um he's very similar. It's funny because he's very similar in Rick in terms of the way he operates, but he in his mind it's for the greater good. But then arguably Rick also believed he was doing the greater good. Remember, he felt that the things he was getting these girls and that they were trash and all this shit. So yeah, they're just both fucked up guys. And in this case, go ahead.
I was curious if after Wolfgang gets killed, if he's going to come back as their dad, so we can see how fucked up their family is.
Well, it's funny you say that. Yeah, let's go into that real quick because the way that this is playing out, it feels like the ending of this will be Ronald killing him. And so I'm like, okay, is that actor ready to step down after season 2, or I don't know, maybe they'll throw a twist, or maybe those the Syndicate, as we've dubbed them, will show up and free Ronald. Who knows? But Ronald and Scarlet are being held hostage. They're being reconditioned, I guess you could call it, and Ronald isn't wanting to cooperate. Scarlet clearly sort of is. Maybe she's plotting. I don't know. But we also see another woman who I'm assuming is Wolfgang's wife. That's my assumption. But yeah, it was nice to see those two together, Legarsky and Ronald.
Well, and if the Syndicate shows up and they save him or whatever the case may be, there's so many ways for the Legarsky clan. There's like an uncle or a cousin. At this point, him already having a twin that looks exactly like him with a ponytail is already ridiculous enough that everybody who's watching this show is suspending their sense of reality because there is no way that this kind of outlandish shit could happen. So you have to come into this show expecting the most ridiculous stuff because to me, that's what makes it great is, we watch a lot of different stuff with mysteries and everything else. But this, because there is no kind of grounding in reality, everything goes. You really have no idea what is going to happen, which is, I think, one of the reasons I enjoy it so much because there really is stuff coming out of left field every 3 seconds. And there is no place that this many coincidences happen to the same group of people, but somehow it is. And it's
dude,
very
the most eye-rolling scene was when Bridger, the young guy, was in the police station, and just so happens the assassin walked by whistling the same tune. I was like, yeah, talk about a coincidence. But speaking of that, I complained a lot about the younger characters in the last season. I don't even remember half their names, but Jenny's son, I didn't care for him. The two sisters, I like. The younger one was sort of cool, but the older one was annoying. We never saw Cassie's kid like ever. But this group of 4 they're doing a good job actually. I think their story is interesting, and they're not annoying, and I'm actually interested to see where things go. But yeah, Bridger goes to the police station, discovers that in fact it's a cop or sheriff, whatever, Harvey, who is this cowboy assassin, as I've dubbed him, and he works for this, I guess, drug syndicate, which we'll definitely go into here in a moment. But yeah, I don't know that coincidence. I don't know. Did you laugh? As because I was like, get the fuck out. I was like, he just so
Well,
happens to be there at that moment.
well, the fact that it was a sheriff didn't surprise me at all because
Agreed.
he had the troopers that were all involved in this. So the syndicate having their hands in everything didn't surprise me at all. Now, like you said, he goes in to report this crime, and a half second later, that guy that's what I was talking about before. There's no place on earth where this many coincidences happen to the same people over and over and over. But once again, it's not solid writing, but it's entertaining writing, and it's
Well, going on to the syndicate, what you just said. So we are introduced to a new character. Never mentioned. Her name is never said in the episode, but we looked it up on IMDb. Ren, and she has her, I guess, bodyguard Dono.
like my favorite line. And didn't mean to cut you off, but the my favorite line was when she was like, "You look like, what was it, a pedophile,
Oh,
something."
like yeah,
Uh,
like serial killer, like a whole bunch.
yeah,
Yeah.
you look like a serial killer, pedophile, or something. And I was dying laughing because he totally does. That members only jacket with the, the plain colored polo shirt.
the she's clear. So the drugs and money that's missing belong to her and her operation. She clearly has a lot of money. She's coming into to town to figure out what went wrong. Where is where is it? Do you think she's affiliated with the trafficking, the syndicate, the trafficking of people, or do you think these are two separate storylines? That was something that I was thinking about.
I think they're two separate storylines. Uh, and like I said when we did the last episode, I think that they're going to be two. The overarching is the syndicate, and that's tied with Ronald and everything else. And I think that the drug runners, whatever it is, the people Ren work for, I think that it's a separate organization. Only because I think it's a way to go through some more episodes without having the same overarching thing get drummed to death the whole time. However, if they are the same group, it wouldn't surprise me either because they talk about drugs aren't the thing that make people the most money anymore. It is human trafficking. It's one of the most lucrative businesses, so it would not surprise me that somebody who was running drugs also was doing that. But I don't think, as of right now, I don't think that they're intertwined.
And where does Travis fit into all of this? Shady Travis. Like he's the undercover cop. We have the moment where Jenny goes to see him, and he's got a woman there. Now, what he said made complete sense. He's like, "Hey, this is part of the job, etc." And she's like, "Yeah, that's cool." But when he showed up, the moment that I got suspicious or thought something was odd was when he showed up at the crash site, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be late for work. Get me through." And she does, and he keeps asking her questions. Now, he did give her a lead. He's like, "Hey, look into this." Maybe he's an innocent guy. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I just just something about the character, the way they're playing him, that I'm like, is he going to turn out to be a villain?
I believe so, only because you already showed us that the drug runners, because I don't want to call them the syndicate also because the other thing is actually called the syndicate, so I don't know what to call them. But the
The
drug
Knights
syndicate,
of Ren.
yeah,
Her name's Ren. Yeah.
yeah, the Knights of Ren. You have she already has her hands in with the police. The syndicate has their hands in with the troopers. So for her to have an undercover cop, uh, maybe she turned him. While he was working undercover, she's like, "Look, you're not making dick as a cop. I can give you all of this." And he's like, "You know what?" And then perhaps working, her side, being her inside guy. You look at history. I mean, look at the, Whitey Bulger stuff. You have people in the FBI, and it's not unheard of for illegal operations to have uh, legitimized people on their payroll.
Who the hell is Creepy Woods guy?
I
Like
don't know, but you, Prairie, I looked that up too.
he's it's interesting. He's in the woods constantly. He has this creepy van. He approaches Max and Harp, in a very aggressive manner. It feels like the twist is going to be he's trying to help. Like I think that's the
I think so
twist.
too.
But it's like what is he about? Who's he affiliated with? Is he just a guy that lives in the woods? Is he I don't know. Yeah, I didn't because I was like they mace him, at one point. I,
I do.
I yeah.
No, I do think you're right. I do think that he's trying to help. Uh, I don't know that it's. I don't know how or why. I don't know if maybe one of his people, got kidnapped. Maybe he saw something bad happen. Maybe he's one of those guys who lives off the grid and saw some bad stuff and is trying to, look out for this group of kids. But
That's a good theory.
yeah, it's one of those things where he is so, because I imagine somebody who is willing to live off the grid is also probably not got a whole lot of social skills. So if him trying to talk to people and he doesn't know how to approach them. So I'm thinking it's that route as of right now, but I also was completely wrong about Wolfgang. So I I would not be surprised if he's some serial, I don't know, Bigfoot conspiracy theorist that likes to eat people or something. I don't know.
um, we get a couple scenes with Jerry this week. So Jerry is officially a PI. Carries a firearms, part of the crew now. We get a sequence with Mark and Jerry at a restaurant, and at first I was like going back to what I felt like that we were missing something between like Mark and Cassie, and I was a little confused last week. And in this scene, that feeling came back because I'm like, for a moment, I'm like, is because they're always together, so I'm like, is Mark like trying to say what's up to Jerry? Like I didn't know what was going on, but then we find out no, he's asking for advice because he does in fact like Cassie, and that he's just like, hey, what can I do? And um, Jerry basically's like, look, you're an awkward dude, and you need to you need to rein that in a little bit. But that was the scene. But yeah, one of my complaints at a few episodes last season was that Jerry was just sort of there. They didn't do much with her. But this season, um, it looks like they're making an effort to say, no, we've got storylines, we've got things for the character,
Well,
and Mark too.
because remember when Mark came in, I think that they planned, that second half of the first season was garbage because it was just kind of thrown together. But Mark came in right before that happened. So I think that they had more plans for him, like going forward. But I don't know that Jerry was initially intended to go as far as she did
I agree.
because they rescued her. And then I think that was supposed to be it. But then when they had to fill in, 6 more episodes, they're like, well, shit. So I think that she unintentionally got more screen time, but I do like that this season they've kind of established that she's one of the crew now and stuff. But that 1 second scene where she came back and was like, "Yeah, I took the test and all this stuff." Why the fuck didn't they do that at the end of last season? Because then it would explain her ability to carry a gun. Like it just they should have done that way earlier because to me it would have helped a lot. But I
Yeah,
guess it
because
didn't.
they're like going on mission. They're like, cover me, and I'm like, how would she know how to do that? Like, you
Yeah,
know,
you wouldn't.
yeah, like, and it makes sense also now because Jenny is now officially a under sheriff or whatever bullshit they made up, and so Cassie technically doesn't have a partner because Mark he's a marshal, and so now Jerry and Cassie are, I guess, partners. So it all fits in terms of the characters' roles, and I do like Mark, and it is becoming sort of it's sappy, but it is becoming like, oh, I hope it'd be cool if Mark and Cassie got together.
Well, I think that's a trope that they do in a lot of shows. There has to be that you have to root kind of for a relationship. And I don't mean that like negatively. It's, Jim and Pam. Like there's always this, even in comedies and serious shows, there's that underlying kind of relationship that you're rooting for. And I think this is going to be that. And like I said, Jenny and Cassie together is garbage. But Cassie with anybody else is 100 times better. So her with Mark, I like their dialogue. So rooting for them, I think, is that little trope, but I don't mind that. I think that that's an important kind of, a relatable thing, because as outlandish as this show is, everybody's had, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, something, and that kind of helps root the show in somewhat of a reality.
We get several scenes with Max and like her crew, and we have the whole situation where her mom needed, her tooth was messed up. She took some of the money. She gives the money to the group. I liked all that. I thought it all worked well. And then Harp, which it was clear last week, clearly Max and Harp want to be more than just friends. We get a little bit more of that. But then Harp says the most crazy shit. She's like, "Hey, I know somebody. Let's sell these drugs." And I'm like, "No, that's gonna go really bad." And then on top of that, as she's like, "All right, that's a good idea. Let me get some." Of course, our boy T-Lock um, ends up finding that she has the drugs, and he didn't look really mad. He was just like, "Oh, he's." So as we predicted, that shit's gonna go horribly wrong.
Well, I think that now, her saying that it was her babysitting money, he knew that that wasn't true. But now he's going to justify how she had that money was by dealing drugs. So now he's going to try and get in on it because he wants money. But,
Yep.
and we talked about it last week. How is it that her mom seems to be not unemployed, but I don't know what the hell she does. She's an alcoholic. She had a tooth pain and got drunk as shit. Like,
But she's got a bomb ass house, man.
I know that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when you look at, what was her name? Madison? Is that the daughter? No,
They call her Max. I don't know. Yeah, probably
Madison.
Madison or something.
Madison's the sister with the brother.
Oh yeah. No. Oh wait, I got the names. Hold on. Yeah, it's Madison, Bridger, Max, and Harp.
Yeah. So Max is not that bad off. Like, she's not like wearing the same hoodie every day. Like, so I just don't understand how it is that they get money, unless he's just like a con artist and just steals money from other people and helps. But I don't feel like he's one helping pay the bills. Like, I don't. So I'm really curious as to what it is that's going on. Unless, we talk about drugs and everything. If he's already selling drugs, and this is going to be kind of a segue to that, and them working together, not because they want to, but because now she doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah, I agree that the money situation in that family is very confusing. Because I mean, you can have a nice house and still be broke. I mean, but that is a really nice house, and like you said, they seem to be fine. Like there's no scene where there's like, oh, we're starving or whatever. He supposedly doesn't work. She does her little babysitting gig, but her mom couldn't afford. I think it was $2,000.
Yeah,
Um,
and my thing is all right. So if you have that big of a house, that could be the reason you're broke. Living outside of your means, that happens all the time. I have a friend that does that. Jesus, like, got a ridiculous house, brand new cars all the time, and I make, between me and my wife, we make more money than they do, and he's living way further outside of his means than we are. But people do that kind of stuff, and that's okay. Like, to each their own, I guess. But I've never seen her go to work. I've never heard them mention anything about work. Like, she, the $2,000 thing, some people don't have that kind of stuff just sitting around. However, does she not have a credit card to use to put that on? Does she not have, someone to help her pay for it? Does she not have insurance? So I have a lot of questions as to.
it's one of those things we talk about how you can fix it in one line of dialogue. All they had to, my mom's boyfriend doesn't work, and things have been tough since she got laid off. Bam,
Yep.
literally, bam.
I was like, yeah, that's one sentence.
Like that's all, and then you'd be like, okay, none of these questions or things would be there. Like, okay, bam. But you know, One
I
little gripe.
I guess in the writers' room, they're not really looking at that. They're not thinking, are people going to ask why she's got this $300,000 house with like this exterior staircase and
Yeah.
all this land?
Um, we get introduced to. So his name was Big Sam. I was calling him Eagle Man last week. Who is dead, and I guess Harvey. I guess Harvey disposed of the bodies. But basically, Big Sam had a girlfriend, Tanya. Um,
Jamie
yeah,
Lynn.
I know, right? I was like, whoa. Yeah, she does. She has a podcast.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Check it out. Um, so yeah, she pops in. She's like, "Oh, I'm, Big Sam's girlfriend. I think something bad happened." She's talking to Cassie. Jenny's on the case as well because it's his truck, and of course we know what happened to him. Ren and Dono show up. They kidnap Tanya, and that's the big, twist or big, shocking ending is she's tied up in the back of the vehicle. I don't know. They'll torture her, kill her. Who knows? But it is going to be interesting as time goes on to see, especially with Rin and Dono, like who are they connected to? If she is sort of the top person who's running this stuff, why is she there in person? Why didn't she just send other people? I'm just curious with the dynamics of that operation.
Well, I told you about this movie I watched forever ago. It's called Redlined, I think, with a D, because there's a bunch of other movies, but it was an Australian car racing movie, is how they advertised it. But it was about an Australian drug ring that consisted of 4 people. And they were like the most lucrative drug ring in all of Australia. So even if she works with like 3 other people, it's it's one of those things where I can't really suspend disbelief thinking that she can pull all these strings with just herself. But they also have a cop, so there's at least 3 people that they have on their payroll: one cop, a hitman, and her. I guess a pilot. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I love Dono has that little bitty knife.
Yeah,
Like,
like
oh shit.
if someone whipped out that on me, I'd be like, all right, let's go.
um, yeah, you think she'd roll with more people, but maybe he's a badass. Maybe they'll show us.
I don't know. You'd have to Crocodile Dundee that to scare me. This is a knife. I'd be like, all right, that is a knife. I'm sorry.
So yeah, that was Big Sky this week. Huckleberry. Oh yeah, and the little scene with the pie, and that's why it was called Huckleberry.
Yeah,
um,
they're able to put one line of dialogue to explain the name of the episode, but they can't put one line of dialogue to explain why the mom's with this douchebag and completely has no money to pay for a root canal. But you can put one line of dialogue, be like, "Oh, the Huckleberry pie is the best." So, I,
it could have been, yeah. Well, they should have named it. I forget the name of the. She's like, "Hey, where can I get my nails done?" And she gave a name. They should have just named the episode that.
was it Lou's
Yeah,
Salon or
I
something?
can't remember. Yeah, something like that. Um, but yeah, Huckleberry. So yeah, I don't think I have much else. Like I said, next week there'll be the visual presentation will be different. The audio is going to be basically the same, but yeah, or it won't be, and I'll be on here saying, I tried and it didn't work." Oh well. But yeah, anything else?
Uh, the I was just gonna say I need to look up to see if Montana is famous for their Huckleberry pie.
I hope it
because,
is. I hope they are.
because like in the South it's apple pie or peach cobbler in
Yeah.
Georgia. Like there's regional things that are in different areas. So now I'm super curious to
Well,
see
like
it.
certain like you said, Georgia's boiled peanuts on the side of the road everywhere, and
Yep,
every state has their thing. Tennessee hot chicken.
which is such bullshit because that happened 5 years ago, and then everybody for it. Like I've lived in this area for a long time, and I've had hotter food in Virginia. I've had hotter
What is
Louisiana. Like
One of the Carolinas has some kind of chicken thing. I forget. Like I said, I've lived all over the South, and yeah, every state has a thing. But yeah, the hot chicken thing,
That was like 10 years ago.
I
Like,
just started hearing about that not too long ago.
yeah, but I'm gonna look that up. But no, I don't got anything else about the show.
Well, we will update y'all with the Huckleberry pie next week. um, but yeah, all right. Appreciate everyone listening, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.